Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamack.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Pamela Gurley. Pamela is a professional speaker and author. She is the founder and CEO of Clark & Hill Enterprise, LLC, and I am Dr. P. Gurley, LLC. Founder and creator of merchandise brand Unapologetic by Dr. G, and author of I Am Not a Stereotype. I Am Her, co-author of Living a Non-Negotiable Lifestyle, and My Life and My Dream plus My Ambition equals MY, My Success. Adjunct professor, founder, and host of Herspiration Happy Hour podcast, co-host and media correspondent for Urbanish Media and blog and content writer. All right, welcome to the show, Pamela.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I actually met you on your podcast as a guest on Herspiration, and I had a blast. It was a great conversation. So I like to start the show. This show is based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. I wrote this before this year, and we have had every situation. So I like to start by having our guests share about a time, maybe in your personal life or in your business, where you had to overcome a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Ooh, that's really easy for business, because I launched Clark & Hill Enterprise on October 1st, 2017. So it's 3 years old, and about 3 or 4 months into my business, because at the time I decided not only to have a business, I brought another partner in, and about 3 or 4 months afterwards, I dissolved the partnership. Just, different visions and what the expectation was of being in business, and I had to dissolve that. Needless to say, after spending a year putting together a business plan, a business model, all of this information, building a website, building logos, names, everything, I had to basically undo a good majority of what I had already done. That took me a long time before I even launched. So 4 months in, it was making drastic changes. The only thing I did not do was change the name and change the logo, but everything else pretty much I had to start pulling off of the site, because the partner and I had 2 different areas of specialty. And so it was literally undoing a whole lot of things, plus dissolving a partnership. So, and I feel like I am 3 years later. I am twice as busy. I am very blessed. And I will also say that even after that 4th month when I was dissolving it, the piece that I was working on never stopped. So at the same time of making these changes, I still continue to work and keep Clark & Hill Enterprise generating revenue to pay for all of the overhead.
Yes, and that's the thing about brands and starting a business is it takes a good year just to get things together, and then it takes another 6 months for people to even know you're there.
Yes,
And then
I know. Especially when you build it and then you go through implementation and then you're halted at your implementation phase because now you have to go back to concept
yes,
and business planning and make all of these shifts and in your time. And a lot of work had already gone into it. I mean, throwing away business cards and I mean, just everything. And I did not own, by that point, I also learned how to cut corners. So I stopped paying for the website and rebuilt one myself that I ended up being happier with.
yes.
And just really starting over business emails and I mean, everything, just having to literally undo, almost a year's worth of work and making significant changes.
Yes, and that's the thing that it takes so much time. Now, before you started that business, were you working for somebody else or did you always have your own business?
So no, so I had my own business where I was an independent government contractor. I had my own government contract back from I think around 2002 to around 2005. And
Mhm.
started working for the federal government and decided I would stay there. And so I did not want to make that decision to just, leave. So even after I launched my business, I've continued to work for the government.
Yes, and that is
Mhm.
really important for people listening in. If you want to start a side business, there's some people that are like burn the boats, just jump over and do your business. But if you have to provide for yourself, your family, and loved ones, it's not a time to do that. And it's always good to have more than one source of income. So, what did you have to give up or change in your lifestyle in order to give the time required to do that business?
So when I did launch, I was finished with school. So trust me, I think if I could work full time and go through a doctoral program where I finished a quarter early,
Wow.
out of a 3-year program, I finished a quarter early. I felt like, you know what, I know how to navigate my time so that I can be efficient at both. So, of course, where I was at, I was very senior in the government. So and still am. So it was just a matter of finding that balance, and if I gotten off work, how to respond to emails. Of course, I had to work lots of Saturdays, but I also felt like I just all work and no play is no fun. So I made it a point where I worked part-time for myself, uh, just so that I can make sure that I still had a little bit of balance. I also have no children, so that makes it a little bit easier for someone like me to be able to dedicate a lot of my time to my business.
Mhm.
When you're writing content, thank God I'm a pretty efficient writer, and you can easily make the time to say, okay, if I have so many blogs due, I'm going to work so hard. I also only decided, what was best for me was to not have more than one business consulting client at a time, because writing business plans is a lot of time and a
Yes.
lot of research. So I made it a point to only having one client a month for that. So that way that I struck a balance, but even still, just blog writing took up a lot, but it also generated enough income for me to do everything that I need to pay for my business. I've never taken a salary out because of course I have a job. So it's always been extremely easy to strike that balance for me. And
Oh,
I have
that's
I also have a supportive family who understands that even if I'm on vacation, I might have to take a pause to wrap something up.
mhm. That really makes a difference. It's such a gift to have a good supportive family, especially now in this time. And I think that for those who don't, I for me, I know my story a little bit, how I was kind of homeless at a young age and this and that. And I did actually care for all my relatives who really didn't
Mm.
care for me growing up until they all passed away. But I also adopted a lot of parents and grandparents, just you know what I mean, like people
Mhm.
in the area that I just fell in love with, and we just became family. So there's friends that are almost better than family sometimes, depending on your family situation. And so there are ways and support circles, women's groups, ways to help each other so that we can get through and actually all have success. And it seems as we help each other, things just get easier for everyone. It just blesses everyone.
Oh, I
So,
definitely agree. I have a very strong sisterhood of friends, and I have, my mama, my mother, and my sisters are amazing, and my boyfriend's amazing. So, like I said, I'm blessed that I'm around a circle of people who allow me to live in my purpose and fulfill my dreams and my goals.
yes, and I'd love to hear about some of your outside of work things that you're doing.
Besides not traveling right now.
Yes, I know. I'm telling you, we're gonna really have the travel bug when this is done.
I know. So outside of work, I'm really into philanthropy. I have been on various boards of nonprofits. I'm currently the vice president of operations over the Cultured Pearl. And, I just took on that role maybe a month or two ago. That's exciting for me. And outside of that, I'm an aunt. I am, I have pseudo grandbabies, my cousin whose kids are like my grandbabies, and she's like a daughter to me. I hang out with friends. I am very intentional about my time. I have self-care time where I take care of myself. I love wines and wineries. So I make it a point to go to a winery where I spent my birthday just now recently, a few weeks ago. And I don't know. I mean, since I don't really have the opportunity to travel because I'm a culture lover, that's usually my sanity.
Yes. Yes. And, for me, I traveled for 7 years straight and like full time. I rented my house out. I traveled full time. I had my youngest two, I have 6 kids. I have my youngest two travel with me. We did a whole bunch of Tony Robbins leadership
That's
events.
amazing.
We had a blast. And I finally got to the point where I was like, I think I need home again. I need to not travel for a minute. And now I'm starting to get the bug because I can't, they tell me I can't. And I'm like, why? Okay, now I really want to go.
Yeah, you know what? I tell people all the time, when you are traveling for work, that's a different level of travel. I've done that. I did that for about 5 years working for the State Department. And I will tell you, it's a lot, and I was not even spending that long of time in each area or region that I was in. Oh my gosh, you have to excuse me. This is so odd because that phone never rings. Never at all. Forgot to turn my office phone off. Yeah, so for me, it was traveling like all the way to either the Philippines or Malaysia and staying for 3 days, but it took 30 something hours to get there. Mm-hmm. That becomes extremely trying. And so, it's just, I'm grateful for the break that I took, but now I am definitely ready to be back on an airplane. I've traveled a little bit. I've traveled a little bit during quarantine for work and for leisure. Like I've been to Atlanta and where I've driven, and I've flown to Detroit, and I've driven to Alabama where I spent like 5 weeks with my mom. But that was not really vacation. I still worked the whole time, but I think for me, for mental health purposes, I needed a change of scenery.
Right. Yes. I think it really helps. So if you are now going back on lockdowns and you're listening in, try your best to see if there's ways to still get out, even if it's to go to a garden or some kind of outdoor place that you're allowed to go and get some fresh air, maybe where there's not a ton of people and you don't have to wear your mask and you can breathe a little bit. That's always nice. We have my daughter's living with me full time now and going to school. The dorm's closed. So, what are you going to do? And I love it. As a parent, I am loving every single second of having, like I said, we're having an extended slumber party. She's like, okay, but we have a lot of fun. And I've worked really hard to make sure that we are having as much fun as we can despite the situation, because it's really easy for anyone to get into a depression, to feel bad, or just frustrated with our current situation. Do you have things that you do that have kept you in good spirits through this crazy year?
Work. Work, work has been a huge distraction for me. I do a lot of media. And so this year, where it slowed me down from doing my workshops and trainings and conferences and book signings, what it did do for me was give me the time to do a lot of media and to get my name out there and have opportunities that I would not have had COVID had not happened. So I've looked at it differently. It's also times for reflective times where it gave me insight on making life adjustments and, just being able to be there more for friends and family. And I know when COVID first happened, I had a Zoom line open called Coffee with Coworkers. And this was I just opened up my Zoom for about 2 hours, Monday through Friday. And then I think I did it 3 days out the week after a while, where I would just open my Zoom up and just had it up for anyone who wanted to pop in and out. I sent the link out to specific friends who I knew especially was either by themselves or just needed a break, to have water cooler conversations. And I would work during the whole time and people would pop on and off, and it was open for 2 hours. And I think it really helped a lot of people.
Yes.
Normally around 5 or 6 people would join, sometimes only 3, and sometimes it'll just be me and one other person. But I always left that line open no matter how many people came on.
Yes, that really does help. And even the college, like for my daughter, she's doing online, and they have the Zoom and they have clubs that are meeting online now. And it's just been a real saving grace for her, because we were both kind of going a little bonkers. We're not homebodies. We are not. I mean, imagine my youngest, who traveled with me for 3 years straight out of the 7 full time. And so they also, we traveled, and for us to just like not, to be home, we've never been so many hours home probably in the last 10 years as this 1 year. And we love house. We love our home. It's a house, but it's a home, but we're kind of like that. So, and we're really social also. So it's helped in a way to keep connected. I do want to share one thing real quick. Have you heard of 211?
No.
Okay, this is really important for anyone listening in, and something I'm kind of the unofficial spokesperson now on the 211. About 60% of the people I've asked have not heard about it. And, that's something that we've never had to need resources like.
Oh.
For a second. Okay, feedback. You will find that you will have all kinds of resources. That's if you need food on. (211). Okay, are you still there? Yes. Okay.
Yes, I am still here.
Okay, good. I don't know. It went in and out.
You seem to be freezing on it looks like I'm freezing on your side. I have all of my bars and my signal strength is high. Plus I'm right here where my router is. I'm not sure.
We have direct connect, but they did have issues. I met at a studio, so I don't know, but they've been having some glitches they're working on still. So anyway, so keep 211 in mind. Maybe you don't need it. Hopefully you'll never need it, but keep it in mind for friends, like those cooler hour times. Share it with all the people that you're connecting with, because a lot of times people don't ask for help when they need it. And that being able, we can't like give everybody everything. We don't have it ourselves this year, maybe, but we're able to give them that resource, a simple resource that could change their life and help them get back on track even faster this year. And, that's going to make such a difference for people, just to be able to give that as a gift for people that need some help right now. So.
Oh, yes. I let people know all the time, it's okay not to be okay.
Yes.
100%. And we need to be more intentional and be more mindful about checking in even on our strong friends.
Especially, I think, the strong friends, because everybody thinks the strong friends are good.
I know. I know. No one needs to check on them at
That's
all. Yeah, but that is really furthest from the truth. We need to
Yes.
be checking on our strong friends. And so even I have group chats with different people I send morning stuff to. And so they've been more intentional about that, saying in there, how is everyone doing? And
Yes,
check in, how is your family and all of those things. And I think that that's so important.
yes, I really agree. And this last year, we lost my youngest son out of I have six
Oh,
kids. Three I adopted, three are mine. They're all mine. But I lost my youngest son. He had a heart condition, and since
oh,
fifth grade, it's called Wolf Parkinson, and
hmm,
he went to sleep at grandma's for the holidays. I was flying in, and he didn't wake up. And for my family and I, it was just like, wow. And I said, you know what, we're going to feel whatever, I bought a punching bag for the boys. I have all boys and one girl, one dog.
wow.
So I was like, you can punching bag and we can cry. And if you need to wake me up at 3 a.m, wake me up. If we need to talk
Hmm.
all night, we're going to talk all night. If we're going to cry all night, we're going to cry all night. We're going to get through this. And I think that we had the funeral in January, and we finally started getting back on track in February. We went to Tony Robbins' birthday party in LA, and that was our first trip out, and we were kind of forcing it, but we needed to get out. And
Hmm.
then came home. It was a few days, a short trip, and we went back to our new home. And with that, then the world shut down, and my daughter said, "Mom, if ever we needed a universal pause for our family
Oh,
this year." And so we really have embraced that part, the healing journey, the time that we needed. And I put my book was going to come out in January. It came out in April. That's
hmm,
okay, because it still did everything. It made bestseller, everything it needed to do. And so if
hmm.
you had to put things on hold, if you're listening in and you had to put something on hold this year because of all this, something happened in your personal life or the COVID,
Yes,
whatever it was, that doesn't mean it's the end. It doesn't
correct.
mean to give up. It means
Hmm.
not now, but when the time is right, everything will show up in perfect time.
Yes, they
So
always say a blessing delayed is not a blessing denied.
yes, and apparently you going to school for so many years, getting the degree and everything that you're doing and working, that must have been a lot to have to put other things on hold to get your work done. And yeah.
I still was so intentional about my time with my family. I think that through the whole 3 years, there was probably two occasions that I really missed, two weddings. But outside of that, and that's towards the end when it really got real with dissertation proposal and dissertation defense, and of course, doing my study part. But for the most part, I was still traveling, I was still going and hanging out with friends, but I was here again, I was very intentional about how I gave my time. And I did not want to be one of those people who just went to school and worked, went to school and worked. I had to find that happy balance
Hmm.
because that was also my time of healing a lot, during that time of going to school. I was coming out of a divorce, I was relocating from Germany, so that was really that time where I was really learning about myself. And education has always been one of those things that's been very easy for me to excel at, and professionally my career has always been very easy for me to excel at, but just taking those moments to really find out and figure out who I was and
Hmm.
who I am, that was very different for me. So I was able to find Pam during that process and enjoy. I just enjoyed life.
I love that. So what advice do you have for students that are in college still, this year, or maybe going back to school to get that degree they always wanted because now we have time? What advice do you have? There's balance and anything else to keep going when it's kind of boring because it's online.
I am one of those. I'm not a big online professor. I really am one of those types of professors that prefers face to face because I like games and all of those things. But I think the virtual environment now is evolving where even online programs are starting to have a little more face time. They're putting more people in groups. And I would just say take advantage of it right now. I think because, you know, whereas before when you had to sit in a classroom, that's where you were at. So right now you can connect anywhere. And, you know, while even though it's COVID, make time, quarantine for a little while and do it from somewhere else. We all need that same break. I mean, I was working from home. I equated the same way. I needed a different scene. You know, if you can travel somewhere else and go and be with family and go be with friends, providing that there's safety measures in place. But this is when you can actually do it, because you can be anywhere as long as you can access and get your schoolwork done. But I think the other thing is that students, I don't care what age you are, you have to also be realistic about your mental health through this program and be open with your professor about it.
Yes, that's so true. And, you know, I think that one of the things that I noticed with my kids, I have one son that's doing online school, and it's really hard for him because he's not as disciplined. My daughter's always been just disciplined. She's just like, got this preschool on up. She was like, I make a list, and she'd make little pictures of what she was going to do for her schedule. And she's been like it's just natural for her. And my son's more like, okay, I need a little guidance here. Super smart. And that's just him. And so it's been a discipline for me personally. It has been a discipline in managing more things at home because I can't have anybody come in and help. I can't have a guy come and fix something or move some, or, you know, things that I would normally not have to deal with besides working 14 hours a day. And I'm like, okay, how the heck do I, and I was like, now how do we cook?
Oh, now see, I was in the beginning of quarantine, that's all I did. I feel like, you know, other than work, I was cooking. And I had, because I commute down to Washington, D.C., and then having to commute home after a 10-hour day, it's like never really had a chance to cook. But now being able to make myself breakfast and make myself coffee in the morning and just take my time and, you know, cook dinner all the time. It was so nice. I don't cook as much. Apparently, that was a phase. I still cook. Because I really have always loved cooking. But, you know, when the world opened back up and I can go and just eat or just, you know, felt comfortable enough to receive DoorDash and all of those things. Yes, cooking, just me going to a grocery store it's a lot.
Right. Yes.
I have to be in a mood. That, and because where I go was often Trader Joe's, and you have to be outside and wait in a line before they only let so many people in. And to me, I'm not built like that. Yes. I am not built like that at all. If I go to pump gas and it doesn't have a card reader, it's a wrap. I'm pulling off so that I can go find me one where I don't have to physically go into a store. I am definitely one of those spoiled people. I should have moved to New Jersey where they pump your gas for you. That
would have been nice. During this.
I know that is heaven. I love when I'm traveling up to New York or, you know, or anywhere where I have to go through Jersey. I deliberately will get gas just because I know I don't have to pump. And my car is great on gas. I know they really need to put that back, you know, in place.
With this, I think it might be a good idea. I think it would reduce, I don't know, any kind of spreading of whatever. I don't know. It could be. We don't have that in California or Nevada, which is where I live, depending on the time of year it is. And so I don't remember having that ever. Maybe when I was young, they had it, but not in our states, which you would think it would be so nice.
Well, you know, I remember growing up in the South, and when we were traveling, it was optional. You can either have somebody pump your gas or, you know, you can pump your gas yourself. I'm really telling my age here. Nowhere offers that now other than New Jersey that I know of. I have not, and I've traveled like almost all over the U.S., you know, by car, even when I was stationed in Fort Hood, and I would drive all the way to Georgia and sometimes drive all the way to Virginia. And no, I had to get out and I had to pump my own gas. So just unfortunate. So if anybody out there knows where, you can, if you're traveling, where you can get somebody to pump your gas other than New Jersey, hit me in my DM, because I'm curious. I might have to just like travel there just because.
Yes, yes. And, for me, I ended up doing the online shopping, because where I live most of the year now, we're far away from the stores. So it's really like a 40-minute drive to the store, 40-minute back, and then you've got to shop and you've got to wait in that line that you were talking about. And I was like, I don't think so. And I realized my grocery bill went down.
Oh, wow.
That
See,
weird?
mine went up, because when I'm out, I will pick up everything. But I'm also a very natural eater. So what I've been doing is, if I went shopping, I would just cook. And I would try to cook everything before it went bad. And then I'll just store it in the refrigerator and would just eat it whenever. But oh no, or I just do a lot of frozen. I do nothing canned. I don't really do boxed stuff. So there's a payback for that kind of eating too. You have to shop. I was accustomed to shopping on Sundays. I used to go to the store every week, and I would just pick up what I want. But now it's buying everything more, because I don't like waiting in line. So I just pick up everything that I need and freeze it, or cook it.
Yes.
That, and then while this quarantine, I also started my own gardening. So I was growing a lot of my own vegetables and spices and stuff.
Well, I failed at gardening. I really tried. I tried this tower thing, and everything died. It was
oh my gosh.
Good. We live in the desert.
Oh yes, that's twice as hard. That's twice as hard.
We were like, well, we would have starved. It did not work out.
I'm hoping next year that some of the stuff that has still had the roots will grow back up. I have like two. I have one on my back patio, and then I have one in my backyard that I made. And so I'm hoping. I still got aloe out there still growing, because I like to make my own facials and aloe gels and all of that stuff. Very homeopathic.
Yeah. So for me, because I've had to stick to the list, it's and they gave us a big bag of junk food, like Cocoa Puffs and Fruit Loops and soda.
Oh my gosh.
All the stuff that I don't eat. And my daughter was like, oh, Mom, you got me a surprise. And she was so
oh my gosh. Well, yes, I can imagine.
She's a perfect little shape and everything, so she doesn't have to think. And I was like, you didn't tell me you wanted this stuff. I could have bought it for you. She's like, so we call them up, and they said, no, you get to keep it, because we put it in your house. We dropped it off, and we can't take it back. And they didn't charge. And I said, honey, I think you manifested. You wanted that so bad, you manifested it.
I know. Oh my gosh. That is, well, good for her, because I'm sure she enjoyed the sweetness for a little while.
I had no idea. I was like, you didn't tell me anything. She's like, well, you just buy what you buy, and I eat it.
Typical kid. That's not a bad problem to have either.
Yes. That's so true. So I would love to learn a little bit more about your nonprofit. I think it was that you're working.
So I'm working with a nonprofit called Cultured Pearl. It's really, I'm still kind of learning the grasping of it. I was just awarded, which is how I really found out about it. I was awarded a recognition to be a Cultured Pearl woman. And it's really about women who are, community-based, doing really great things, that's making a difference, inspiring other women. And of course, it aligns with a lot of things, but they also offer scholarships and other things for students and whatnot. So they do, different fundraising drives. And so for me to connect to something like that, I felt like it was destined for us to meet. And I met her because she had approached me through my publicist at the time to give me an award to recognize me for the things that I have done and have been doing.
Oh, that's great. And I think there's something about when you're giving back and helping other people, it blesses you in some other way, not because you want to be blessed. It just does. I've never seen that not happen. So if you're listening in right now, and maybe you're having trouble finding work, and you have incredible talents. You have a degree, or you're very talented. You don't need a degree, depending on what you do. And you haven't been able to find a job, go volunteer. I
Oh,
will.
definitely.
Yes, because they will see who you are. When you show up and you give your 100%, they're going to either give you a recommendation or give you a job offer. I've had in my lifetime 3 or 4 times I volunteered. I always was given job offers I wasn't even looking for. And they were like, just fill in the application after the fact because of how I showed up. And that's the way to do it. And it's in that heart space. You're giving back. You care about that cause, that you're going to be able to shine, and you will get that job.
Yeah, but the other part about volunteering is it closes the work gap. So if you're not working, being able to volunteer, you can still gain experience that's going to work in your favor, like you said, but it also fills in large gaps in between resumes, and people do pay attention to that.
Yes, yes. In fact, my daughter, she is studying psychology. And so, yes. And so her thing was, she was looking for a job, and she has a friend that works at a girls' home. It's a girls' home for pregnant young girls that have babies. They either have babies or they're pregnant and going to have a baby. And she looks probably 16 years old, even though she's 24. And she walked in there as a volunteer and got hired. And the one lady told her, "Oh, I don't know. You're so nice. I don't think you're going to make it here." Because these girls are a little tough. Well, that boss left 2 weeks later because she couldn't handle it. And my daughter's been there 4 years, just about almost 4 years at that organization. And so,
that's amazing.
And you need to have your bachelor's degree, but somehow she got her job, and because she can work with these kids, and it's something we've always done. I've always had programs in my stores where I worked with kids like, at-risk youth and kids emancipating from foster care. So that's it. So she's used to that. So for her, it's like, what's the problem? And so that's what it is. She has her talent in that. So you find your talent and go volunteer. And before you know it, and also the other, so she has no gap. There were some closures, and she was still able to do things. And now she doesn't have to do the years and hours of study. A lot of times people will get their degree and they have absolutely no work experience.
Correct.
And so
she has work experience. Yes.
Yes. So it's really helpful to do that. And the other thing is, I think it keeps us out of depression. Or, self-pity, especially during this time, because if you are out of your head and in your heart helping somebody in gratitude, there's no way that you can actually feel sorry for yourself at the same time. There's no space for that. And it makes
I definitely agree. 100%.
Yes. Yes. So I would love to know how people can get a hold of some of the work that you've done, your books and different programs, how they can get involved.
Okay, so my book, I Am Not a Stereotype, I Am Her, or HER really, can be found on ebook on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple iBooks. You can also find it on my website, the actual hardcover or soft cover, whichever one you decide, at www.iamdrpgurley.com/shop. That's iamdrpgurley.com/shop. And for my social media sites, I am on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at IAMDRPGURLEY. I am Dr. P. Gurley. Same brand across everywhere. My podcast is Herspiration Happy Hour. And of course, it's on Facebook, and you can connect on social media on Facebook and Twitter Facebook and Instagram at Herspiration Happy Hour, and on Twitter, Herspiration HH, because it's too many letters. And we record we release the first and third Wednesday of every month. And, we're a really fun podcast. You've been on there, and we're great, engaging, very transparent conversation. You can connect with my business, Clark and Hill Enterprise, at www.clarkandhillenterprise.com. Enterprise, no S on the end.com, where I write content and also do business consulting, write business plans, website content, a lot of things.
You do a lot. I would
I
love
do
to
a lot.
just a little bit before we go, a little bit more about I am not a stereotype, I am her, about that, what's in that book.
Oh, so that is really taking a look at the stereotypes and debunking myths about Black women. You know, just letting people know you don't have to be boxed in. And I talk about how toxic that way of thinking and that way of placing people in box affected me growing up, affected my decisions that I made, how, yes, I excelled, I say professionally and academically, but internally I was broken trying to figure out where I fit in. And that's from, both being, a Black woman and then being multi-ethnic when I look different from other people, especially when my curly hair is out, not braided up. But just all the different stereotypes that are out there about Black women. And I wanted to have conversations about it, about natural hair, about the perceptions of Black women being bitter or angry, and, just dealing with imposter syndrome because of the way that the world sees us. We feel like we have to work twice as hard, but then we're hard on ourselves. And so we battle with, imposter syndrome. I know I certainly have, and I still do at times, where no matter how professional we are, no matter how much we know, we still deal with these levels of inadequacies, wondering if we're enough, to fit into a different world, professional wise mostly. But I wanted to have these difficult conversations and I wanted them to be out there. I talk about, being in toxic relationships, especially when about self-love and self-care and what that really looks like. And I wanted to really share that we are stronger than what we really are. And I wanted to have people take an introspective look at their own lives, through my book.
I love that. That is a very important topic and something that we don't talk about as women. And then you're going further and getting into all these different stereotypes and situations that block us. I mean, I think about my daughter, and she's multi-ethnic, and she's who she is, and she's very proud of everything she does, but she had this house full of boys. And I think that kind of helped her because it was different than the pressure. And there was a lot of pressure from girls. And then even adult women against other adult women when we really need each other in community. Right. And that's when we switch that and we're able to support each other and help each other and connect instead of compete. Correct. Or whatever that is. I don't even know.
Well, the goal was to change the narrative of that, but we also have to take ownership and responsibility of what it takes to change that narrative and what it actually looks like. And that's why I wrote my book. I didn't feel like I needed to complain about something that exists. I needed to address the problem and have real conversations about it and open that dialogue, but show this is what we need to do to make these changes. This is what we need to do as of a community of Black women and even white women and white men who are more angry than most Black women that I know, but we still have all of these labels. So what does it take to remove the labels off of Black women? It takes a community of people recognizing that we are just like everybody else.
Yes. Very good. Very true. And I'm so grateful that you were on the show today. Could you just share one website or place people can go before we go to a break so that people can be sure to get your book and connect?
Okay, my book is at www.iamdrpgurley. Everything that I'm doing media-wise, every conference, this is a definite way you can connect with me because it is my personal brand. So I am Dr. P. Gurley is definitely there, and you can follow me. I'm very personal about things. If you have questions, if you have concerns, I'm always here.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you again for being a guest.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Okay, and we'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and I have some news for you. Yes, you. I'm celebrating my 3rd year now on the station and will be expanding the show to a global network as well. You may now find the Sheila Mack Show on all major podcasting channels, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, all the episodes are now available for viewing there as well. And I'm asking you for a quick favor. If you like the show, please help support the spread of this Reboot channel on YouTube as well. My goal is to help as many people as possible through our interesting times to rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life. I also wanted to share a little bit more about how I got here, what I do now, and how designing a business career and life on your terms is more than possible at any age or stage in life. I am an enterprisingly forward-thinking consultant, show host, and best-selling author. But how did I get here? Well, I began my career as an entrepreneur and property investment strategist back when I was 23 years young, when I boldly quit my government job with NASA JPL to open my first of 5 large gift stores while also starting to invest in property. I got to work with some of the world's most loved companies, such as negotiations on leases with Warner Brothers and winning trips to London as the top-selling Crabtree and Evelyn provider in the U.S. for multiple years. My stores were built on heart as I gave back to the community I came from. So now, some of you know this and some of you don't know this, but as a young girl with parents who were not well enough to care for me, I was homeless at age 10, then in foster care, where it was really hard to get a job while in the system. I finally emancipated at the age of 15 to start college early. While running my stores, I worked with a government program. Back then, it was called Job Training Partnership Act, making my stores an open source training site where close to 200 at-risk youth started their careers. Yes, I began my career helping business leaders and working professionals to design a life they love where they can have success in their careers and get to the business of life. See, a funny thing happened along the way. When I first opened my gift store, it was kind of crazy because I was this young upstart. That's what a lot of the store owners called me. My first store was in Montrose, California, in this sweet little hometown shopping park with other stores and restaurants nearby. And so I was the young upstart that didn't know what she was doing. At least that's what everybody said. And I didn't really care what they said. At that age, you know, their opinion was like, I don't really care. So that was probably a really good thing because I stayed focused on what I needed to do. And I had negotiated to lease out a 5,000 square foot gift store that needed a lot of work, and I got free rent and for about 6 months, and I had to start making the rent, which was $5,000 a month, which was a lot of money back then, $1 a square foot. And so I had to learn and relearn. I finally did hire quite soon in the game. I did hire a marketing expert, branding expert, I guess back then, and that lady really helped me to figure things out when I first started. And when you first start a business, especially when you're young, it was like I had no idea what to do, but I needed to learn because my rent was going to start coming due every month. And over that time, I started having more success. I did crazy things like stayed open until almost midnight every night, along with the restaurants who were very close to my store, while everybody else closed shop at about 5 or 6 p.m. So I was making more money from the start, and I just really, my store was to help my kids, and the products I sold was whatever the community wanted. I sold lots of things to people in the entertainment industry. I worked with cruise ships. I worked with many different people in the community. And later on, the store owners actually came to me and asked me if I would consult them and help them. I actually started buying my other buildings because I didn't like the idea of paying rent for years and years and years and not building equity. So I did get my real estate license through that and invested and bought my other 4 store buildings. And lots of the other store owners worked with me, paid me to consult and help them do what I was doing. And I didn't really even know it was called consulting. I just knew how to figure it out, I guess. And so that's how I started my career. And now, you know, I raised 6 children, all that, and now they're grown. And so I get to come to work every day and do what I naturally do best as an enterprising and forward-thinking business leader. Through my show, courses, and live events, I guide entrepreneurs and working professionals like you through the profitable steps of building a business, creation to expansion, marketing from planning to implementation, wealth preservation through strategic planning and, yes, real estate investing, and lifestyle design so that you can earn more while getting back to the business of living your best life. So I do invite you to tune in here to KCAA Radio, and also I would really appreciate it if you went to my YouTube channel, Sheila Mack Show, and gave a subscribe and a listen to some of your favorite shows. And I do have some other exciting things, including a free gift to thank you. So if you go to www.sheilamac.com, that's SHEILAMAC, SheilaMac.com, there you can get a free gift to get started on your reboot this year. And now back to the show.
Necessitated. You need a guide to show you how we get through a situation like this, to give you resources and to help you get out of the emotional pea soup fog of dealing with a crisis and the resulting fallout. I've been there, and I'm here to help you. Out of the fog. If you weren't emotionally bound up in your situation, you would have more clarity. You would be able to see your best options for dealing with whatever comes up. If the version of yourself who has already walked through this rock bottom and come out the other end could go back in time and give you, the you right now, some advice, what would she say? Would she tell you to slow down, to stop rushing, that you don't have to have all the answers today? Would the future you recommend not making any major decisions without reviewing them first, particularly while you're still in the fog? Would she tell you that normal is going to look different for a while, but that you will feel normal again? In case we haven't invented time travel by the time you read this book, I'm here to tell you all of the above. I developed the Boots formula to help you learn to make choices, have a life shift, and make great things happen based on your individual values and best life vision. A change is going to happen, and it's worth it. There's a stage where it feels like everyone in your life is picking at you. Life itself may seem like it's trying its best to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. All you hear is, "That's a stupid idea," and "That's never going to work," and "Who do you think you are?" One of the hardest things for people to do is to realign and possibly walk away from anything and anyone that conflicts with their value systems. But you are going to discover that power within yourself. Through the activities and examples in this book, you will discover your true north and will be able to easily do what is needed to move forward with your life. Anything that hurts you, that doesn't resonate for you, that fights against what you want and believe in, you are going to give it the boot. Once you have turned your rock bottom moment into a positive, beautiful life shift, you can live your life on your terms. Your life will probably look different, but you get to design it this time. You are taking your life back, and you are in charge, not anybody else. Sooner than you can imagine, you'll be in the career of your dreams or the relationship you always wanted. Because you are going to learn to develop healthy boundaries. Because you are going to do things differently along the way from here to there. You will begin to attract the people, the job, the place to live, all of the opportunities that align with who you are, your essence, your truth, not anybody else's or even society's expectations of the way you're supposed to be. Once you have accepted that you are in charge of living your life and you begin to embody living your truth, people are going to see you. They're going to be inspired by you. Then you're going to hear, "Hey, can you show me how you did that? I want to do it too." When you assess your peer group and up-level according to your life purpose and vision, and once you have created a life shift for yourself, whatever that looks like, your life is not just full, it's fulfilled. Not only do you get more and better sleep, you wake up feeling rested and happy. You know that you're doing what you need to do. Yes, sometimes your heart will call you to leave certain friends or family members in order to find a more aligned peer group. From what I've seen, however, the ones who leave always return to lead their family and friends to success. Because your friends are more in alignment with your beliefs and value system, they support you while also pushing you toward your personal best. Life still involves work, but as a whole, it feels far more effortless. But you don't have to wait for the right person, right job, or right investment opportunity to show up. You can start living now so that every moment as you go forward through the process of recovering from rock bottom and redesigning your life is one more step to being the best version of you, the one who came.
All right, if you are looking to reinvent life on your terms, if you are grieving, experiencing financial turmoil, career shifts, relationship problems, parenting, elder care, victims of abuse, breaking free from an addiction, or seeking an overall business and lifestyle redesign, then you may need a reboot. It is not fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation. Tune in again right here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.